Good evening and welcome. I'm Bob Pace, your host, and I'm so happy for you to join me on this live podcast from Southern California. You have found me on Facebook, and you probably have concerns about CPS, how to fight them, how to deal with them. You've come to the right place, and I warmly welcome you because I will try to relate my involvement with CPS to you and help you out with some rules and things that you need to do to get your children back or hang on to your children. It's awful that you have to fight a government organization that's so corrupt. The child protection system is a branch of social services. It's mandated by Congress to protect our children from abuse and neglect, and also to put the family back together, called family reunification. It's sad, but CPS does break up the family. And they've done it more so lately with almost a zero, most like 99% of the time the children are taken. They think the children are in extreme danger and they must take the child. What they don't tell you is the reason why they take the children is so they can make money off your child per month. Now, I was involved in Orange County. I live next to LA County. This is in California. But Orange was paying $20,000 per month. They were being paid by the state who got the federal money to Orange. And that was 3 children totaling $60,000 per month. They just got with my 3 children. Think if they have 100 cases, which they do, how much money that is. It's all about money. That's all CPS cares about. You're going to find the organization is not transparent. They're not friendly. They don't do family unification, and they take children that are not in immediate danger. My children were taken, and they weren't in imminent danger. In fact, what's so sad is my children were in the respective high school and middle school and elementary school. I have 6 children. I'm a family man, a loving father of 6 children. 3 are grown up and 3 are still in their late teens, early 20s. Now, my 3 youngest were taken from me in 2015. And they weren't in imminent danger of the fact they were in the schools when they were taken. So they gave some reason because I was charged with neglect because my children were in a home where I had my parents' belongings I was sorting through, and they thought that my parents' belongings did endanger the kids. Now, I have Daniel Watt calling in. Well, she did, but what happened to her? I hope she calls back. Daniel, are you there?
Hello. Please state your name after the tone, and Google Voice will try to connect you.
Daniel, this is Bob Pace. I'm so glad to hear from you. Well, she did try to call in. Maybe she still has the internet problems that she's been out there, so.
The Google subscriber you have called is not available. Please leave a message after the tone.
Yeah, Daniel, I saw you call in. I'm calling you back. I'd love to have you on the show tonight. Please call me back. Thank you. Well, that was Danielle, so okay, hopefully she'll come on. There. I want to welcome the people in the room. And the first person I see that came into the room was Faye. Now, Faye is a very fine woman from Richmond, Kentucky. She's had a bad case with her son, who's 22, and he's a special need kid, and he needs to be taken care of by his mother. Well, they're still bugging him. The police have been bugging her, and she lost her two daughters, and she herself was in foster care, a horrible time in foster care. She was in her early childhood, mid childhood, her teenage years, and young adult, and she was in there till she was 18. And then later in life, she started to start a family, and CPS started to hound her because they know that she was once in foster care. And it's sad because she was really harmed by foster care. She was molested and raped and never got a chance to know what it is to grow up with a normal family. But she's a loving mother and she wants to take care of her son. And so he's a special need. And so she's come up with a lot of ideas to help you all. And we've discussed a lot of them. So I'm glad you're here, Faye, and welcome. Now, there's several ways you can interact with this podcast. The first way that you can interact with this podcast is you can call me. I'm available at 626-698-0990. That's my office phone number, and I will take calls. And Faye just tried to call, and somehow, not Faye, I'm sorry, Danielle tried to call me from Georgia. She was my co-host up to a week ago when she had computer issues. Excuse me. So please call in at 626-698-0990. That's my office number. And I answer it if I'm on the show. I'm on the show Monday through Sunday, twice a day. Once at 10 o'clock in the morning for an hour Pacific Standard Time. And on Sunday, tomorrow, I'm on at 8 o'clock. So I'm a couple hours early on one day a week in the morning. But the rest of the week and today, this morning, I was on at 10 o'clock. And then I come on again in the evening show at 7 p.m. And I'm on for an hour, and that's Pacific Standard Time. So I do 14 shows a week. And my phone is on during those show times. So I really appreciate it if you call in and you can discuss your case. And I'll put you on speakerphone and everybody will hear you. Another way to interact with this podcast is that you can let me see here, is that you can text in messages. This is being broadcast on YouTube. I'm using StreamYard as the application. But there's a comment section, and I would really love to hear from you. All you need to do is type in your questions, and I'd like it to pertain to CPS. I know there's a lot of politics going on, but this is not the forum. This podcast really is devoted to the Child Protection Services and things related to that. It's here to help you get your kids back and help you with dealing with this terrible organization called the Child Protection System. So when you text in a comment about your CPS question, please show me your name, your city, your state, or country. I do receive a lot of country CPS questions. I think that's great because we can all learn from each other. And make sure you're complete with your CPS case. Now, what I mean by that is that start at the very beginning. If it involves like 5 children and you have 5 different husbands, some may be married, some may be boyfriends, some whatever. Just be complete of the number of children, the number of times in case, and where you're at, so that I don't have to keep going back and forth like a ping pong ball, second guessing about your case. Because only you know your case better than anybody. Only you know it better than anybody. Now, a third way to interact with this podcast is you may want to be a guest on the show. And I have a great producer. Her name is Grace. She works behind the scenes, but she will help you with the application, StreamYard, and how to get on my podcast and what's going to go on. So I'd love to have you on my show as a host, or a guest, I should say, as a guest. And that way we can talk about your case, and the people in the room can talk about your case. There's a lot of people that come in your room here. So all you need to do is write an email to grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. Now, another, Faye had some comments to make. She says, she sent me 3 videos. I appreciate that. They're of an illegal search and seizure of a woman's home and children in my county. See, Faye has reported that Kentucky is really, really bad on CPS. The cops and CPS admitted while being recorded on live to take pictures of inside her home and or to take control of her children into custody. You see, in Kentucky, they don't, they take children all the time. There was no intimate or extensive circumstances, but they take the children. Now she gave me a link here, and you guys need to look at that link. She gave 1, 2, 3 links. Hi, Faye. Welcome.
Hi. You didn't get half the messages there that I sent you, only that one message.
Where did they go?
I don't know, but you didn't get any of them, actually.
Well, I'm reading them, and you started at 7:02, then 7:08, and then 7:08, and 7:10, and 7:10, and
Yeah, but the
7:11.
one you started off with was the cops. The cops and CPS admitted while being recorded. I sent some before that, but I don't know where they went.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. No,
you're okay. You're okay. No, what it was is I sent you 3 videos to your messages.
To my personal phone.
There was a lady
to my personal phone. To my personal phone.
The 6. I don't know.
Yeah, you should send it to my personal phone because it's 626. I can't read the links there. It's got to go to my personal phone.
Okay, yeah, I can send them there too, but I put them in the comments too down here.
Oh, okay.
But anyway,
okay.
What happened is this lady here in the county that I'm in, she had a social worker and cop show up at her property, and supposedly they had these complaints. And the mom kept asking her, the social worker, well, okay, you've got complaints. What are the complaints? And the social worker wouldn't tell her what the complaints were. Okay? But then the social worker kept asking her, well, can I just talk to you? Can I come in your house? Can I talk with your kids? And can I take, photos of your house and check your house and make sure that everything's good or whatever? And the mom kept telling her, no, you cannot come in my house. You can talk to me right here. My kids are outside. But my kids don't have to answer your question, and I don't have to answer your question. If you want me to answer your questions, you need to get a warrant. And she told the cops the same thing, and the cops literally told her on Facebook Live that they did not need a warrant to go in her home, search or take pictures of her home, or to talk to her children, or her, or to take her children.
Well, wait a minute. The cops can come in if there's a shooting going on, someone being stabbed with a knife.
No imminent danger. There was no imminent danger.
Okay.
The children were standing right outside in the yard with her.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no imminent danger at all.
And what was the rationale behind the police saying what they could do?
Because she told them they weren't going to come on her property.
No, but why was the police saying they can come on their property without a warrant?
Because they can. Because they can say what they want.
Yes, and they can do what they want. And they can arrest her and make her life miserable. I know.
Because there was no imminent danger. You could see in the whole video.
Well, she
even
should
when
have.
they went ahead and went in her house and looked through her house and took the pictures, there was nothing in the house that was dangerous. There was no deplorable situation. The house was cluttered a bit, and the house was a little messy, but it wasn't deplorable. Like there wasn't rats and feces and urine on the floor, or trash or maggots or any of that.
Okay. What would happen if she? What would happen if she said, "Come on, children, come in the house, close the door, and lock it"? What would have happened? You think?
Well, I mean, she tried to do all that, but you just have to watch the videos. It's hard to explain. I sent them to you.
Yeah, I will look forward to seeing them. Thank you, Faye.
But the thing about it is the cops sat there and told her that we're not leaving your property. We're not leaving your property until we see these kids and see that the home is safe. That's what they told her.
Now, the kids were outside, so what do they need to see about the kids?
They said they needed to see that the inside of the home was safe.
Okay.
Yep.
And why would the cops be that? That'd be something the CPS would want to do.
Well, CPS brought the cops with them. They a lot of times they'll bring the cops with them
for intimidation.
Intimidation, protection, or whatever.
It's for intimidation. If you see a cop in his battle gear with a mean look on his face, he's going to intimidate you.
Yeah. But this mother stood up for her rights, clearly stood up for her rights, her parental rights and her constitutional rights, and they basically told her that none of that mattered.
Well, when a lawsuit comes, it will matter.
I don't know. They did the same thing to me. No warrant, no court orders.
Wow. The more I hear about Kentucky, the more I don't think it's a very safe place to go to.
Yep. The proof is in the videos if anybody wants to watch them.
Well, I think my example of the pink ladies in their pink shirts that paraded around with the message on the front of their shirts, professional child kidnappers, and on the back of their shirt, they said, "Do you know where your children are at?" That right there tells what kind of attitude that CPS has.
Yeah. You know, here's my point of it. This social worker and these cops know that when they're sitting there questioning people without a warrant, you would think that stuff wouldn't be admissible in court because they obtained evidence against you without a warrant. Okay? But they know that whenever you answer those questions, that they're then going to use them against you in court. But they say they don't have to have a warrant to investigate you, your children, or to go through your home and look for things to use against you, like finding something in your house or whatever. It's just total bull crap.
Well, we need to get the message out to all the parents out there that CPS is corrupt and they're going to steal your children. They're going to, traffic your children. They're going to alienate your children. And it seems like everybody I talked to on here, over 500 parents in all the 50 states, it's the same thing. I've only had one individual, a social worker, that called in and talked to me for 40 minutes from Maryland. And it was, interesting what she had to say. Now, you told me some new stuff today or yesterday that in Kentucky, they all have to have a license and a college degree in there. So I want to tell all you people listening, I've added a new rule number 4. And rule number 4 is basically you need to research the internet about your CPS organization in the state or city you live in. You need to really gather all the information to be prepared. Because I was unaware that Kentucky required social workers to have a college degree and a license. That's even more scary to hear you tell me that in Richmond there's $900,000 unaccounted for. That somehow CPS has, pocketed the money. $900,000 is a lot of money. It's almost $1 million.
The state they audited them. They audited them and found out that over $875,000 total was unaccounted for. Couldn't be appropriated. Nobody knew where it went.
Wow.
Through the cabinet, yeah.
Oh boy. Well, Faye has really opened up a lot about Kentucky. Now, I've had calls from Washington and Oregon and Idaho and California, of course, have a lot of those, in Pennsylvania, Boston. I mean, I even had one case where the social workers were from Boston, Massachusetts. They drove across state lines to kidnap some children belonging to a lady who was in a hospital having surgery done, and she made arrangements with her mom to watch the kids in another state. Now, Massachusetts and Rhode Island are next door to each other, and they're small states. But even still, for a social worker who works in Boston to go over to Rhode Island, that is wrong. Social workers do not cross county lines. They don't cross states. It's illegal. They need to stay in their jurisdiction. They need to administrate the child in that jurisdiction. And it's scary to think that a social worker would drive all the way from Boston, Massachusetts, somewhere in Rhode Island, and ask the grandmother, could we have the children? And of course, she doesn't know all the laws, and so she freely gave the children. And they're fine at grandmother's place. How many times has young kids gone to their grandparents? I used to take a bus and a train to my grandmother up in Northern California. She had me for the whole weekend. And it was great. She'd make me all kinds of nice foods and treats. She was a wonderful grandmother and good memories. But there's nothing wrong with children visiting their grandparents. And for that social worker to try to track down the children and muscle them from the grandmother that was trying to take care of them, it's sad. Social workers are sad. They parade around in pink T-shirts and say they're professional kidnappers. And they put on the back of their T-shirts, do you know where your children are at? That's the mentality of social workers you deal with. Or in Faye's case, they take children if they're not in immediate danger. And I think that happens to a lot of people. My kids were stolen, were trafficking into foster care, and they took them, where did they take them from? The school. Now you tell me the school, they're in imminent danger, they're at school? They rounded them up in school. And then for a solid week, they had no school, and their idea of school was reading a book to them. Now, my kids were in the STEM programs. They had to take one science class, one technology class, one engineering class, and one math class. And they did that every semester, and they did it from early on in elementary school, then middle school, and then high school. and then to continue on to college where they're doing engineering. They needed those classes. So social workers hurt my kids while they're in their custody. They told them they couldn't study late at night. They said lights out. They didn't care that, when you have that kind of a curriculum, you have to study hard. I mean, my son studied hard. He worked part-time, and he played on the varsity football team. And some of them were away games. He had to go to Baltimore, or Hawaii, or Texas, or Florida to play these games because this high school is the top high school in the country, and it plays teams in other states. And so my son had to travel. He did his job, and he worked in the school cafeteria, by the way, because he wanted to help his dad help pay for school. And so he's turned out to be a fine boy at 18, but he was hurt by CPS. And so was my older son, who's 24, and he was hurt by CPS. CPS is not your friend. They're mean. They're very vindictive. They're not transparent. And you're probably saying, why are you picking on CPS? Well, I've only had one social worker call in. So if any of you are social workers out there, please call in and talk about how CPS is done in your county, in your state. How is CP? How are children being protected? That's the thing is people don't realize that the children are getting molested. My kids, the first night, they were put in a shelter next to a juvenile prison, and their play yard was to the prisoners' play yard. So the prisoners could give them drugs or anything else through the chain link fence. That is protecting my children. Plus, there were beehives outside and they got stung to death. Not to death, but they got stung and it hurts. So I really don't have any tolerance for social workers. I don't know. I mean, it's great that Kentucky, requires a license, but you need to go look at your social workers, their background. That's rule 4. You got to go to the internet. The internet is the powerful thing. And you need to find out, you're in their territory. You need to find out how they work and how bad their system is because you got to be prepared for it. I wasn't prepared. I tried to fight them and I knew what was right or wrong, but they don't care. They think they're above the law. They think they're above the law and they don't care about, your constitutional rights, or your civil rights. They'll violate them all. They're terrible. And they're supposed to protect our children, and I'm scared to death. We have no one protecting our children. And these social workers, it's all for money. It's the greed. It's an $80 billion business. And as I said, when my kids were taking Orange County, they were getting a total of $90,000 per month for my 3 children. LA's a little bit cheaper. It's $15,500. And I think Washington is $8,000. How much is in Kentucky they get per child? Do you know, Faye? Faye, do you know?
4,000. Let's see, it goes from 4,000 to 6,000, and then 8,000 for special needs.
Wow, that's a lot of money because I don't think it costs that much in Kentucky to feed and house those kids.
It doesn't.
And
social workers get paid a lot of money in Kentucky.
Yeah, I saw that, $100,000 a year salary. That's pretty nice to be a social worker and get paid $100,000. That doesn't count their bonuses. Every social worker gets bonuses. I know that. My social worker used to brag about the bonuses that she got. And from the top dog, the director, I met with the director. He worked out of this office that looked like the Taj Mahal of India or the Emerald City of Oz. And when I met with him, he had so much gold around his neck, I wanted to offer him a crutch so he wouldn't fall over. Of course, I didn't have a crutch, but that's how ridiculously he looked. And his answers went in one ear and went out the other. They don't care about your parent rights. They don't care about your children's rights. They don't care about the harm that social workers do to these children. Go ahead.
And I was going to say, too, I found out here in Kentucky, a social worker only has to renew her license every 3 years.
Oh, I thought it was every year. Okay, well.
It's every 3.
Well, that's great because most states don't have licenses for their social workers. Most states don't require college degrees.
Yeah.
And they're very corrupt because the greed is the money. It's $80 billion a year. Billion is a lot of zeros. And if you want to think about it, they get paid more money than the aid that were given to Ukraine. That's how bad the social services is. Because, you're going to need an attorney to fight this case and any case. And I'd like to introduce Vincent W. Davis. He owns a law firm called Vincent W. Davis and Associates. It's the law firm that produces this podcast. Anyway, he is a family dependency attorney. He's been practicing law for over 35 years. And he'll do a consultation. You can call in. And you can call in at 888. Let me see here. I got the number covered over. I need to. Oh, brother.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to
A question I would like to ask Mr. Davis, and I'm probably going to do that his next podcast, is can a parent be fit and unfit at the same time?
I would think the answer is no. They're either fit or not fit. How can they be both?
Well, I must have been both because they took 2 of my kids and they terminated my parental rights saying that I was an unfit parent, but yet they gave me back a child. So why would you give an unfit parent back a child?
Good question. That's something you have to ask them because I can only second guess.
If I'm fit enough to raise that one, why wouldn't I be fit enough to raise the other one?
Yeah.
And the one they gave me back is the hardest one to raise because he's autistic and has exceptional needs.
Well, for all you listeners out there, I want to really pitch Vincent Davis. He will talk to you and strategize with you for 30 minutes for $60. That's right. You can talk to the best attorney in the country, Mr. Davis, and he will talk to you for $60 for 30 minutes. That's $2 a minute. And I can guarantee in 30 minutes, you'll find out whether you want to work with him further or you've, happy with what you got. You can listen to his podcast because he's a fighter. He's won CPS cases, civil cases. He's gotten children back. He has over 35 years of practicing law. And he's a fighter. He knows how to fight CPS. And so I strongly recommend him, at least talk to him for 30 minutes, consultation, and then you can decide whether you want to retain him or not. I had to sell my house and use what I sold to pay Mr. Davis to get my kids back because my family was more important than personal property. Yes, I had worked a good 40 years for that home and it went out the window. So I hope to get the home again, but right now rates are up so high, I'm glad I don't have a home. But it's life. You have to keep taking it as it comes to you. All you listening to me, there is no manual. There is no book about how to fight CPS. I wish there was a book for dummies to fight CPS. But you'll find that each state's different. That's why you need to research your area on the internet. That rule number 4. Research and know everything is about that CPS unit. And you might find some things that'll take to your advantage, especially if some things they screwed up and it's connected there. So you gotta find their attorney to be screwed up to beat them. And that is a hard thing to do. I agree on that. But I want you to call into 888-888-6582 and speak to Mr. Davis. Tell the office that I sent you, and then when you talk to Mr. Davis, say that Bob Pace sent myself, or whatever you want to say the right word there. But it's very important that you do talk to him. You have nothing to lose.
I'm going to hang up, Bob, so that somebody can call in if they want to.
Oh, okay. Let me see right now. Let me put my phone number up. I don't know if anybody wants to or not. I don't even know if anybody's left in the room. Oh, nope, that's the wrong phone number. Here we go. That's my call-in number for everybody that's listening. And right now, Faye, you're the only one that's been in the room. I have right now 12 people listening, but I don't think they're in the queue that want to call. So it's okay. If someone wants to call in, I'll leave my number up, and if someone calls in, I can drop your call. Oh, here's Happy Feet. I think Happy Feet's from Alabama, if I remember. Welcome. Okay, someone is calling in. Hello, Mrs. Bob.
Hi, Bob. This is Happy Feet from Arizona.
Great. Let me go ahead and take Faye off and put you on, okay?
All right, thank you.
I'll put you on hold for a second. Okay. All right. We thank you, Faye, for dropping off. Happy Feet's on, and she's from, remember, Alabama, right?
Arizona.
Oh, shoot. I'm not good at that. Yeah. Okay. You're at Arizona. Happy Feet's been on before. So tell me, what's new, Happy Feet?
Well, the baby's with my mom. They're waiting for the tribe still. They set us up at a nurturing parenting program. However, they didn't show up. As the supervised visitation before, there were a lot of no-shows on their side. They showed up. They signed us up for nurturing parenting on the day of this program. They, again, didn't show up.
Can you refresh my memory? What are they supposed to show up for? What were they supposed to do?
It was for, one was for the supervised visitations, and they repeatedly don't show up. And the other one was for a nurturing parenting program.
And what was their reason for not showing up?
One time was they didn't have enough staff to come in. The next time was because we were too far away. I think we're owed over 30 hours of visitation from different...
Did they say they'd make it up?
They said they're going to make it up, and that makeup never comes.
And how were they acting to you? Cheerful or angry or so-so?
So-so.
Mm-hmm.
I know they've been upset with us since the judge ordered for it to become ICWA case. But they haven't complied with any ICWA regulations or anything.
That's right. I think you told me that you're a Native American, right?
My husband is, yes. He's here with me now.
What tribe is your husband? Choctaw. That's a federal recognized tribe. There's 547 of them. Have you tried to reach the tribe themselves? Have you tried to contact the tribe?
Yes, we're in contact with them. They're in Oklahoma, and we're in Arizona, so there's a little
Right,
bit of-
right. Now, did you tell them that you want to find out if you're registered or could be registered, right?
Correct.
And so that's what you work on. For some of your listeners, you may not know what ICWA stands for. It's the Indian Welfare Child Act, and it's 1978. It's a little late. They were about 100 years too late. But from 1875 forward, the Indians were closing down. They were put on reservations. Children were taken from them into Indian schools, cut their hair, wear school clothing, not traditional clothing, and forget their culture, their language, and everything. It's terrible. And what was also happening is that when there was child abuse or necklace accusations, CPS would interfere, but they wouldn't try to do family reunification because they didn't think too much of the Native Americans who were the first immigrants to our country here. And so they would let the kids be adopted all the time. The parents didn't know any better. And the American Indians, more children were taken from them than any other race, including the black children. So they enacted this law that basically says that CPS must tell you about ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act, and must make every attempt to see if you could be registered or are registered with the Choctaw tribe and, of course, the other tribes and so forth. So, with that being said, the children then are placed in the tribe, either on a reservation or they have some other types of places they call, or they could be, and then from there they're placed into an Indian family where the children are taken care of and the parents go through some type of reunification and get the problems that they exhibit straightened out. And the Indian tribe does do a good job. They do a good job, but you need to get registered and need to get CPS off their back and start to hustle and help you. So
And part of the problem was that the tribe needed our daughter's birth certificate. And DCS has her birth certificate, but they will not give us the correct form for her birth certificate, even after they were ordered to do so.
now you can still get the birth certificate, right?
We have not been able to. We've tried every which way, and for whatever reason,
You're in Arizona. I can. Well, let me look. It's a birth certificate doesn't come from the tribe. It doesn't come from the federal government. It comes from the records. Let me see. And Arizona.
Right. Yeah, we filed for vital records, and we just haven't. They won't give us access to it, and they say that we can't have it. They gave DCS a copy, but they gave us a non-official copy, so that won't work for the tribes. So
I agree. I agree.
And the judge ordered them. And the judge ordered them that they need to get this done and to get it done. And it hasn't been done yet.
we actually drove an hour to their office just to get there because they tell us that they didn't feel like doing it.
Well, they have something called the Vital Online. Have you tried that? Vital Records Online?
Yeah.
And here it says get a birth certificate, or death certificate, or a marriage certificate. And when you filled it out, what happens
we pay
when
the fee, and then we get a notice. We get a notice that says that that it cannot be sent at this time.
so CPS is trying to manipulate things, and I think that's wrong. I think you could contact the surf the Vital Records Online. You can contact the supervisor and find out.
Okay.
It says order your Vital Records online with VRO. Have you tried VRO?
The vital records online, yes.
Does that work?
It won't. No, it has not. It doesn't let us match up to our child.
So CPS has somehow interfered.
Yes.
Well, I would think that's against the law. Of course, do you have an attorney under contract?
We both have state attorneys.
Yeah,
Mine
both
does
are
not show
court
up
appointed
legally.
attorneys, right?
Correct. And hers didn't even show up last time.
That's typical. You're wasting your time with court appointed attorneys. You're not
Yeah.
going to get any help from them. They have a caseload of 30 more clients, and they're not fighters, and they're just going to go with the status quo wherever it's going.
Yep.
Have you tried to talk to the human support there?
No, not yet. Well, we've sent in emails and stuff to their support, but we haven't gotten a hold of anybody personally.
Yeah, but I think you need to talk to a supervisor there because have you tried to go in person to the Vital Records office?
Where we live is kind of far.
That's what I'm afraid of. Yeah, you're right.
And then we're coming to two different counties. So it's the child was born in one county and then lives in another county. So then we're trying to decide which county lines.
Well, here how it says to order Arizona Vital Records. Arizona provides several methods of obtaining birth, death, and marriage certificates. It's possible to make your request by mail or in person through the various by the county, but the most convenient option is to order online, available for all Arizona counties. The Arizona Department of Health Service Bureau of Vital Records will produce and certify the documents provided that you meet the requirements and follow the instructions. Applying for
The judge, he had ordered DCS. The judge ordered DCS to obtain that for us and give it to us. And they
still haven't.
Wow, have you brought that up to the judge?
no, we brought it to our court-appointed attorneys, and they
And what did they do?
laughed at us. Nothing.
Wow,
Nothing.
this is sad because that's wrong what they're doing. Have you gone to the director of the CPS in that county of Arizona? Have you gone to the director there?
We sat with the supervisor.
With their supervisor, we went there and he had a meeting with us. And, we were both going to get all the birth certificate stuff done. And it's when we went in there and he said, well, we're not going to help you, and good luck. Let me know if there's anything that you need, and then send us out the door.
Then you're going to have to go to the state. Have you tried to go to the state?
Went to the Abatis. Yeah. I wrote into them, and I never heard back.
The ombuds person?
Yeah.
How about the civil rights coordinator?
No, we haven't done that.
You need to look into that, the civil rights coordinator. I mean, I've told people now, I have a new rule, and rule number 4 is you need to research the internet. There's so much valuable information, especially about Arizona. I mean, you heard me talk about the pink ladies, right?
Yeah, I was the one that I think I showed you their The visitation that was ordered by the judge, DCS wasn't doing that. So my mom, as the kinship provider, has been doing that. But they've been very restrictive where we can do it. A 1-year-old with health problems is really hard to take to Walmart for 4 hours, or
Yeah.
these places they're suggesting that we take her.
So where are they at on your case? What part of the case are they at?
We're still just doing status conferences. The status, it's still set for family reunification, and just set up for another status check in a month or so.
And the judge had ordered testing to be done. We haven't got the referral from the case manager at all. So we just went and been paying for our own testing for the last several months.
And they don't accept them, even though it's the same place they want us to go. So we're kind of just stuck with that.
Wow. And when did this case start?
This case was June of last year.
Okay. Well, most cases, it seems like they go at least a year. They want to make that money off your children.
Yeah.
So I think all they're doing is stalling for time to make more money.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I hate to say that, but you're going to have to do some really searching the internet about everything there is to know about that CPS office. You need to type in the judge's name, the social workers' names, the address of the social workers, and all the history.
That last night.
Good. Well, that's my new rule. I've added to my other rules. One is to get an attorney. So that's my first rule. My second is to do your paperwork. My third is to say no and don't allow social workers in your home and don't let them take your children. That also goes for medical trafficking. When you take your child into the hospital, don't let the social workers take your children. If you're giving birth, don't let them take it after your birth. So
Our daughter was still in the NICU for 98 days. And they showed up to the NICU and took her from there.
Took her out of the NICU and took her out earlier than she was supposed to be.
Against doctor's advice.
wow.
She was still on oxygen.
They put her with complete strangers, even though my mother, my sister, my father, several family members all came up to the hospital, came to the DCS office, said, "We're here. We'll take her. That way she's home with family and she's okay." And they said, "Well, we forgot to call you because we were having a hectic day. That's why we sent her to strangers' houses for a week." My parents had to fight very vigorously to get her into their home even.
I am so sorry that is coming down like that. That's wrong. Have you thought about talking to your congressman or woman?
One of the representatives out here has actually been on the, we know, and he's been on the news and he's been
advocating against DCS, and they were up for new funding this year, and he ended up getting their funding cut down, or like their time at like to like I think 4 years or 5 years instead of the 8, so they can put them under more scrutiny and make sure that they're doing what they need to do.
And the government inquiry.
Because I know that politically speaking, you may have to get some help from your congressman or woman. Because, you know, if you've tried to reach the director of CPS of your state at the state level, you said you talked to the ombudsperson. I don't know if Arizona has a civil rights coordinator. Again, this is going to the Arizona on the research on the internet.
I'll have to look at that. I know that the director, they've had issues with directors, and they didn't have one, and they had somebody filling in for a little bit. And I think they might have a new one now, but we don't know. And there's now a new controversy with the governor getting payouts from DCS and from foster care homes and stuff now too. It just started coming out.
Have you heard of the name David Lujan? Lujan.
Yes.
He's the one that was stepped in, and I think he's out now already again.
Okay. I'm looking at him. He's the, director, the CEO of the Department of Child Safety, DCS.
I don't think he is any longer. I think they just recently got rid of him.
Okay. And again, one thing about the internet, sometimes it's not up to date. So it's a great resource, but you have to sometimes be careful. He looks like a nice man with a kind face, but looks are deceiving.
Yes.
But anyway, whoever is the director of the Arizona Department of Child Safety, that's who you should talk to.
Okay.
Have you seen the parent guide that they have?
The nurturing parent.
Well, it's just called the parent guide, and it's called Parents, and it's a parent's guide to Arizona Department of Child Safety. Think of this guy as a tool to help you learn about how to find info on the guide. And I guess there's several sections of the guide that you can download. It's pretty lengthy, but it's on his Arizona webpage. And then it talks about, that's the parents. And then it'll probably talk about resources. Complaint or disagreement. Wow. Resolve a complaint or disagreement with DCS. Step 1. Attempt to resolve dispute with the child's safety specialist. Love how they give names to people.
Yeah.
Step 2. Elevate your concern to the DCS supervisor. Step 3. Contact the DCS Disbudsman's office. Okay. There's a phone number. Do you have this number? 602-277-7292. Do you have that?
I'm not sure, but I will check just in case.
That takes you to the ombudsperson. You can talk to them.
Okay. I know before when we spoke with them, they requested everything in writing, and we had to send it in writing.
Well, maybe in niceness to this person, maybe 602-277-7292 may help you.
Okay.
But what I like you to do, though, is to do my rule number 4 and spend some time. There's so much to learn, questions and things like that. They have an ombudsperson complaint form. Did you fill that out?
Yes, we did.
So you did do that. And they came back negative, huh?
Correct.
I better check my time because there's another podcast. I got to make sure we're over at 8 o'clock. And I think, okay, I got to end the show because there's another show on there. And I don't mean to cut you short, but I'd like you to call in. You can call back in tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning or tomorrow night at 7, and we'll talk further. but I appreciate you two parents, the Happy Feet parents. That's a cute name. That called in,
Thank you.
and they are involved in the ICWA part, and they need to have their child taken care of by an Indian tribe family member. I want to thank Faye, who called in and shared some videos and some concerns about her state in Richmond, Kentucky. And I want to thank all you listeners. God bless you, and I will see you tomorrow. Make sure you still keep fighting for your kids. And this is Bob Pace signing off. Thank you. Happy